Hello, my name's Tom Palmer and I'm a children's author, and this is an assembly that I'm doing for all of you in years 2 at the following schools: at Cheam Common Junior Academy and Infant Academy, at Cheam Fields Primary Academy, at Brookfield Primary Academy, at Cheam Park Farm Primary Academy, and at Manor Park Primary Academy. And this is an assembly where I'm going to talk a bit about me being a writer, and how I got into writing books like these. So football stories and history stories about animals that might be involved in war, but also how I became a reader, because I became a reader before I became a writer, and I struggled quite a lot to become a reader. I didn't like books. If you'd have given me a book, let's have a look. If you'd have given me a book like this one, which is one of my books, I would have been quite put off by all those words, just page after page of words. And my mum knew that I struggled a bit with reading, so she decided she was going to encourage me to read through my hobby. I like football, and that was really the only thing I would really get excited about when I was even up to the age of 16. And what my mum realised was, if she got me reading about football, that might encourage me to become a reader. So she got me reading quite short things. So I didn't want to read long books, so she got me reading short things like newspapers, so match reports to do with football in newspapers. She also got me reading comics as well. And gradually my mum got me into reading, and then I didn't really want to read stories at the time, but I did want to read football history books, so I read some of those as well. So my mum encouraged me to read longer things by getting me to read about what I was interested in, and that is football. And so gradually I became someone who loves reading, and that's how I ended up writing books like these. And this is a book I've written called Secret FC. And what I'm going to do in this assembly is I'm going to tell you a bit about this book and read a tiny bit of it. Then I've had some lovely questions from all of your schools, and I'm going to read out the questions and try and answer some of them. But first of all, I thought I could read you a bit from Secret FC, and it's a story about a girl called Lily who sets up a secret football team at her school, because when she gets to school at the beginning of the new term, she realises that they're not allowed to play football in school because the new head teacher has banned football. And actually, he might have good reasons for that. If you read the book, you'll find out. But he's banned football, and so she sets up a secret football team. And it's kind of like when teachers and children disagree and they have to sort of find a way of working together to do something that makes everybody happy, which is what the best schools do, isn't it? Definitely. Anyway, I'm just going to read you the beginning, and then I'll answer some of your wonderful questions. Secret FC. Chapter 1, The Railway Children. It was the first day back at school after the summer holidays. 6 weeks of fun and holidays over. Finished. But Lily, Zach and Cal weren't sad to be back. They were over the moon. The three of them stood in the playground and looked round the school grounds. Nothing had changed. King's Folly Junior School was just as it always had been. The school building was old and brown. The small car park was packed with teachers' cars. The woods over beyond the playground were as dark and creepy as ever. And the playground itself was marked out as a football pitch, ready for the first game of the term. Kick-off at morning break, Lily said. Zach and Cal nodded. Zach was short and stocky with dark hair in tight plaits. Cal was tall and had a thin face. Yeah, Cal said, I can't wait. Nor me, Zach agreed. Lily pushed her curly blonde hair away from her face. It's been a long time since we played football, she said. And it had been a very long time. King's Folly Junior School was in the middle of the city. The triangle of ground on which it sat had a very busy road on one side and several railway tracks on the other sides. Trains thundered past the school every couple of minutes. The part of the city Lily and the others lived in was so built up there was no room for fields and parks, no room for football. There were just houses and shops and warehouses and roads and railways all packed together. There was only one place the children could play football without being flattened by trains and cars, the school playground. And that was why they were all so excited about being back at school. They hadn't had a proper game of football for weeks. Right, so that's the beginning of the story, but they're going to assembly at the beginning of term, and the new head teacher, Mr. Edwards, says that football is banned in the school, and that leads to the formation of the secret football club. And Lily is at the heart of it, because she's, what's the best word for her? She's sort of really get up and go and entrepreneurial, which means sort of setting up your own business, own way of doing things. So that's Secret FC. But I have had, as I've said, some excellent questions from your schools. So I'm going to read out the name of the school, the name of who has asked the question, and then the question, and I'll try and answer it. Right. So this is from Arush from year 2 at Manor Park Primary Academy. Thank you, Arush, for asking a question. How did you become an author? Tom, he asks. Well, right, Arush, the first thing is what I've already mentioned, I think, in the assembly, is I became someone who enjoyed reading. And once I started to love reading, I started to love writing. Before I read for pleasure, I suspect there's some of you that don't really enjoy writing, that struggle a bit with writing. The thing that helped me most with writing was reading football reports in the newspapers and football magazines like the one I showed you earlier. And that is how I became good at, I suppose, at writing, by reading what I like. Not reading what people thought was good for me, but what I really wanted to read, and that was football. And that's the main reason I became a writer. Then I started to write poems, short stories, letters to friends, and all sorts of things like that, and gradually got better, I suppose, at writing. And that is how I became a writer, Arush. Good question. Next question is from Jaden, who is also in year 2, also at Manor Park Primary Academy. Your question is, how many books have you written? The answer to that is 50. My next book, here it is. This book comes out on August the 6th this year, and this is a bit old for you. This is kind of for children who are 9 and upwards. It's about a group of children who survived the Second World War and came to live in England in the Lake District, which is a beautiful part of the country in the north of England. And this is my 50th book, so I'm very excited about that when that's coming out. Very good question to you, Jaden. Right, we now go to year 3 at Cheam Park Farm Primary Academy, and this question is from Sophia. And the question is, there's more than one question. So the questions are, how do you write your books? How do you put your ideas into paper and transform them into books? Just a minute, I need to read the end of this. An important question. And the next question, how did you become a writer? Right, so Sophia, how do I write my books? I suppose, like the other question, how do you put your ideas onto paper? Right, for me, it's really important I've got to do research to find stuff out. So when I was doing this, I wanted to find out about secret football, because football used to be banned in the 15th century, and so football was played secretly. So I've tried to find out about secret football and sport that has gone on in the world. So I will take lots of notes and make notes in my notebook to make sure I know lots of facts. But I also, one thing that really helps me is I keep a scrapbook. So this isn't just words that give me ideas, it's pictures. So this is a scrapbook for after the war, that book of writing, and it's got pictures of children in it who could be my characters. It's got maps of the area that I am writing about, and it's got other things like actually pictures of people who lived in the place I'm writing about 75 years ago, and pictures of what they look like now. So that and visual. So like I find that drawing pictures helps me, because sometimes words confuse me a bit, and it helps me to have visual things like that. And then before I start writing, I get all my ideas together and I make a plan. This is one of my plans. I'm just going to turn this light down a bit because I think it's a bit bright, isn't it? Just a minute, and you can see it better. So this is a plan, and this is a plan for a whole book. So each blue bit is a scene or a chapter in one of my books, and that is a whole plan. And I find if I'm struggling to put all my ideas together, I suppose I struggle to keep them in my head together, all my ideas. If I put pictures and plans with little sticky, you know, those what they call post-it notes, and I put them all together, I don't have to keep all those thoughts in my head. I can keep them on paper, and then I can sort of work out what I want to write my story about. Excellent questions, Sophia. Right, this question is from Miranda from Manor Park Primary Academy, again from year 3. When did you begin to write books, and what made you get into it? I began to write books, Miranda, when I was about 20, and what made me get into it, because I loved reading so much, I wanted to try myself to be a writer, and I think is the answer to that one. I think if you really love doing something, there's always a way to try and do it yourself, even though like the idea that people who write books, you think, oh, these amazing people who write books, they're really famous and they're this, that and the other. They're just people, they're just normal people like me or like you, who sit down and try hard and write a story. And I wanted to try and be a writer, and I realised you don't have to be. I used to think writers were all from London, all really clever, all really sort of posh and rich, and not the kind of person like me. But once I realised that anyone can be a writer, and that includes you, anyone can be a writer. That made me try and be a writer, and I suppose that was the big moment for me when I thought, I'm going to do this, I want to do this, I'm going to try and do this. Right, I think if we've got time for a couple more questions, we have Adib from Cheam Park Primary Academy year 4. What's it like to be a writer? Good question. What's it like to be a writer? It's great because I like writing. I like making scrapbooks and making my plans, and I love having books published with my name on it. I think it's great, and that feels good. So I'm doing something I love doing, and I get paid for it. So not only am I doing what I love, but it's my job as well. So I don't have to do another job and then find the time to do what I love doing, my hobby, writing. I actually get paid to do my hobby. If you've got a hobby you really enjoy, could that be a job? Think about like what you like doing, and whether you could have a job doing that hobby. Because then if you're doing a job you love, I know you're year 2 and it's a long way off, but if you're doing something that you love as your job instead of something you don't like, you're going to be happier, aren't you? And I bet some of you know some people who don't enjoy their jobs, because not everybody does, and I feel really lucky that I do. Right, last question. So this question is from year 4 at we'll have a question from Brookfield Primary School, because we've not had one from there yet, have we? And the question is, what is my favourite football team? My favourite football team is Leeds United, and I'm currently feeling quite confident that we might be about to get promoted to the Premier League. But now I've said that, it'll probably all go dreadfully wrong, but I am a Leeds United fan. So you've probably got, some of you might have an older member of your family who's a Leeds fan from years ago, because many years ago they used to be quite good. Anyway, so I think we're going to stop there. So thank you for all those wonderful questions from various of you, and for asking those. Thank you for listening to me. I suppose I want to finish by saying I hope you're all well. And I'd like to send my best wishes to your families, and that you're all okay. And I hope that you managed to have a decent summer, and that you find lots of really good things to read in the summer. Thank you very much for listening, and all the best to all of you.